How did we meet?
We met, so we were both running our own technology startups, and at that time there was the beginnings of liberalization that was beginning to happen.
Yeah,
I think
but
the demo.
So we must have met at one of those conferences.
No. The first time we met was at C4 Idea. When when we were being told.
Hi, Peter.
Yeah, when we were being told that we have an ICT ministry, and we have a PS who has come in and he's looking for help to begin laying policy.
Well, no, they didn't actually. None of us actually knew what happened was that C4 Peter is a genius. So Peter Kemashia had this thing called C4 Idea. So when we went there, and we had different reasons for going there. I don't actually remember how I met Peter, but anyway, when we finally went there, Peter brought up the idea that, look, there's a new minister and there was a new PS, because those were the first at the time. It was the first Ministry of ICT, right? So they said, there's an opportunity for us to go to them before they create their own policy. We take to them a policy. And it just so happened that we already had something. And by the way, what is interesting is that Jay had something, I had something in our different spaces, and it just so happened that we both had something we could present. And so what happened was that made it very easy for us to sort of put it together and take it.
Yeah, and at the time there was just, there was no liberalization policy, there was no mobile phone policy.
Yeah.
Internet was still dial up.
Kenya Post and Communications.
Exactly. So I guess that's where we met, and it was love at first sight, I guess.
Yeah. So I think for you to understand that, you have to understand the fact that we started out having worked with Kenya to open up data. So the Kenya Open Data Initiative just happened, and I was chair of the task force. Jay was the vice chair of the task force, and we had just gone to government again. This is years after the policy was implemented. Now we had fiber. Now we had access. Now we had smartphones. Now we had content policy that was implemented by everyone. So we went back to government to Professor Ndemo. He was then Dr. Ndemo, and we said to him that I think it's time that we did open data. And when we said it's time to do open data, he said yes, and he said, let's go see the president. And we were like, okay, so tell us what the president says. He said, no, let's go see the president. So we go see the president, and the president listens to the idea, and his response is, okay, he asks somebody, what does my diary look like? And the person gives a date, 8 weeks hence, and says, okay, I'll launch it on this day. Which therefore means that now we don't do concept, we skip, no concept notes, no preparation, whatever it is. The way government generally works, it is straight into setting up a task force for open data. So 8 weeks we had to work very hard, and we were lucky that there were many partners. There was World Bank, there was a lady called Tracy Lane. Do you remember Tracy Lane?
Tracy Lane.
Chris Finch. And then from the developers side, who had to develop apps, we had Afman.
Yeah, there was iHub.
There was a whole bunch of people who were creating the apps, because the way that we presented the idea of open data to government wasn't that it is going to make Kenya transparent. It was that it was about job creation.
Yeah, because at that time there was the startup culture was big. There was hackathon after hackathon, and the iHub had been created, and it was this nexus point for all these developers, and so it was like, yes, there's an opportunity here for a huge software development community, but there's no access to data.
Yes, so that's what we went, and the examples we were giving the president at the time was, you see Google Maps. Yeah, so Google Maps is because government released lands data, and therefore, so he was excited by it, and he just said, let's go. And kudos to President Kibaki, he was a sort of person who ran with ideas. You give him a good idea, he pushed, get it done now. Then, if it's a good idea, then do it now, sort of thing. And so that was a pretty cool. You had to do some things though. You had to go and organize with protocol, presidential protocol, and
I think we all had all these various tasks. I actually remember one of the things that I was tasked to do is deal with the protocol team, and there were things like, you had to make sure that nobody there had a rose. It was only the president, and
no long skirts,
things like that.
And short skirts.
Yeah, no short skirts. Yeah. And then I remember 2 days to the launch. We get told, and people from DC had come in. There was, I think, their chief data scientist at the time.
Right. Yes.
I think he was Tariq was his name.
Tariq, yes.
And they were in town for the launch. Everything was going according to plan, and I think the PS came in and said, "Right, you need to stop because we've been called to the president's office because national security, which I think at the time the minister was George Saitoti."
Yeah.
Said they have called and they have questions. So as things stand right now, the launch is being paused. So
no, they said, hey, they didn't say launch. It was 6 p.m. in the evening. We go to the ICT board offices, and Dr. Ndemo just walks in and says, the launch is off.
Yeah.
And we all panic. We go through this thing, and Jay has a sweats. And then we're told, well, George Saitoti and his team have a problem. So we go to the president's office, and we have to now justify.
And we're pacing up and down with the ICT authority, saying, "Oh, please, what's going on? Or put in some work."
But then Athman goes and presents a tool in front of the president. It says, "This is really what we are presenting. We are trying to build." Mm-hmm. I don't remember what Athman's tool was, but he presents it, and it inspires the president, and he shows that there's because the concern for the security guys was that we are releasing all data, including sensitive data, whatever it is. And they showed there was no sensitive data that we're trying to release. Population data is there. Schools, the number of schools that we have, everybody knows the number of schools that we have. So that should not be a difficult thing to do. So that became an easy thing. Then the president said, okay, it's back on. So again, back into the rush because we have 2 days left to make sure that everything is done well. And it was done really well. 3,000 people at 6 o'clock in the morning at KICC. It was really amazing. And Jay's favorite choir was playing at the time. And they said, what was the song?
The role of ICT. I'm still trying to find the video. I'm trying to find somebody from what was then the presidential press unit to say, I have all the photos, but I just don't have that video.
It was something like that. I think it's a presidential choir. It's a choir that is always playing at the president's functions.
Anyway, and nobody had a recording of it, which was it was like one of those unique moments, and just no recording of it.
Yeah. So it was because of open data that then the World Bank felt that you guys you've been able to achieve something that we haven't been able to achieve in other countries. So let's go. To Tanzania, let's go to Ghana, let's go to Moldova, let's go and convince those governments to also be open. And somehow, I think because of our chemistry, they agreed and they said, yeah, we can do it. So then some guy at the World Bank says, we can fund you. You guys have a fundable thing. So we start the process of actually thinking of a name.
Yeah.
For the openness.
Yeah, and we had both worked as consultants after the launch for the World Bank, and we ourselves also realized that we have the ability to move faster than the bank because the bank has there's all this red tape. You have to have all these meetings, and the people working in DC, the local office. So we were
approvals and whatnot.
There's an opportunity here of coming in as intermediaries and actually implementing things for them. And that was like the pitch that we had also done to the bank.
So our first name was the Africa Center for Open Governance.
Open Data and Governance.
Open Data and Governance, that's right. And then we went and worked on that for a while, and we agonized. And the reason we did that was because of the fact that we knew that CSOs are supposed to have long names.
Yeah, and that and also the fact that we had this mind map where we said, okay, these are the things that we're going to do. Now, in hindsight,
we'll actually tell Praveen to put it up on the screen.
Yeah, when we look back at that mind map, we actually have accomplished a lot of those things. Even though they've been accomplished in parts, until we now have come to what our sort of core programs are, our core values, mission. But it came out of that mind map. And I think that one of the other reasons we came up with this long name is that we wanted to do everything under the sun that was open data and governance, training, tools, platforms, every single thing.
We had already been doing things like thinking about journalism trainings, data fellowships for journalists and for CSOs and so on and so forth. So it looked like the world was our oyster to do everything that the bank or anyone else could not do quickly. And we felt like, we can do all of these things really fast. So we tried. And then later on we said, but you know what, we are more a think tank. So our initial pitch, I think, was that we are a think do tank. Was that the phrase? Yeah, that we are a think do tank. And as we were thinking about being a think tank, we said, institute makes sense. And then we simplified it and said, all of these things are about openness. All of these things are about putting ourselves out there and putting transparency at the forefront of our agenda. And I think that's also why the tagline came. The tagline for us, "We are open," is an aspiration that says we are open. We, the country, are open. We, the county, are open. We, the state in Nigeria, are open to, it's an aspiration. It's an aspiration statement that even for our team, we try and have them espouse that we are all open and we all are trying to do things.